Hello? Hello? Hey everybody, welcome to a Michael JPS gaming video. We are continuing our Empire Total War playthrough as Britain on easy campaign mode. Right, so let's get this straight. So we have the fledgling United States of America. Please hopefully die very soon. Please, because I'm playing as the British. I will conquer the world, and I have to do it before this year hits 1799, or else I'm basically dead, and the game will end. So, with this in mind, to prevent this, we are going to march our soldiers and start taking the west part of America. And we're going to sail our soldiers and try to start taking the west part of America. Okay. So I'm just going to go straight at these guys. These are the Huron. They don't have anybody in their village. And so I don't need to do a thing up there. I can literally just Yankton. Okay, so what I can do is I'm just going to march my troops. These guys, I'm gonna march them all the way. No, I'm gonna march them right up to the border. Right up to here. No, okay, I'm sorry. We're gonna march them right there. That will be done in a couple turns. But first, we're going to seize the Huron land. So I'm gonna save this really quickly. So YouTube 2. Okay, and we're going to decide it's about time that these peasants die, because in the name of Britain and etc, we're just going to send a single pikeman and declare war. No, we don't need. You don't have nothing. You're destitute. Yes, this is good. Boom and boom. Okay, so we're just. I said we're going.
Aye, ask too much.
Okay, so yes, we understand. You're a single pikeman. This is good. Okay, so now we can use our fleet for more important purposes. So we have this fledgling United States of America. This is not good. This is very not good. This is actually very bad. Because this means that we're going to have to deal with them later. Now, until they declare war on the 13 colonies, I am not going to get dragged into it. But I cannot let America start spreading like wildfire yet. The 13 colonies, relatively speaking, are pretty pathetic. They don't know how to make war. America, on the other hand, gets very aggressive very early game. See, where they're already building things. And they already have a solid army of militiamen. So, to prevent them from continuing their expansion, we are going to get way more boomerang way quicker. And the way we're going to do it is by assaulting these guys' fort. Because why not? We're going to demand their surrender. Okay. I'm going to save the game real quick because I have no idea how to do land battles, really. I know I said in the previous video that I knew how, and I do. I know how to do it when I have overwhelming odds, which is pretty pathetic. Actually, I don't know if it's not pathetic. Okay, so I'm going to try to siege this thing. I'm going to crack open a cold one with the boys at 3 a.m. And I'm going to, as you can hear, that's me opening the water bottle. And now I shall be pouring it into my mug. This mug is actually an XCOM mug, which is another great game franchise I should probably do at some point. But until that day arrives, where I actually will do it, we're going to just have to deal with it. I love how I'm doing that. I almost let actually all the water spill onto my pants. That would have been a very bad thing, because I don't want to get wet pants and then have to stop recording and go home and etc. Yeah, blah 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 blah. It just gets nasty. Okay, so we're gonna set up the line. So right here we have our little militia boys, right? Toggle plug bayonets. Okay, that's actually pretty neat.
Colonial militia.
Let's see what happens with the plug bayonets.
All units, fix bayonets.
Okay, yes, so it'll take some time to actually do that.
All units, remove bayonets.
Okay, so until we actually fix the bayonets, what we're going to do is we are going to. So these guys are sorry. So these line infantrymen right here, they're insanely better in every single possible way than the than the militia. And where are our dragoons? We should have some dragoons. Okay, dragoons. These guys right here, they are insanely good. And then there are a bunch of horses. So they're literally like heavy infantry, but they're line infantry, but they have carbines, which is just a nicer way of saying they have little muskets instead of big muskets. Okay, so we're gonna mount them up on their on their ponies, of course, because that's the best way to do things in my town. My gosh, how does this thing work? Oh gosh, this works amazingly. I love that sound. Okay, so okay, that's a lot of volume in my ears. I'm getting a lot of reverb, but you know what? I actually really like this microphone. If I didn't compliment, this is serious. This is getting so good. I'm sorry, I get carried away sometimes. Okay, so we're gonna set up our guys.
The Halt button in the bottom right of the screen cancels orders and makes
Okay, let's try
selected
this.
units stop where they are.
Okay, thank you.
This is a quicker alternative to giving them a different order.
Okay, so we're going to get our guys going. We're going to... Yes, I understand. Okay, but these guys, which are the... Oh, this is their village! Oh yeah, they're pathetic, hopefully. But these guys, they are what? They have their tribesmen, and then they have their armed tribesmen, and they have their what? Their bowmen. So the bowman's going to try to pellet us, but we're not going to let that happen because we're going to slowly assault their position. Because I can be boomery whenever I like. Okay, I understand. Thank you for showing me the hole. Okay, so now we're going to decide. I'm going to show these little people how to actually make war. Because we're British. And we're better than them. In every possible way. Okay, so let's see, what should I talk about now? Oh yes, if you're new to Empire Total War, you see this little banner underneath the British flag or your national flag. That's the experience of your men. And that depends how long it takes to reload, how experienced they are in hand-to-hand, how good they are at firing, how accurate they are, etc., etc., etc. So it's better to get higher-end units, but usually higher-end units are only gained in one way. Death. Because your guys gain experience when fighting, and usually the only way to actually level them up is actually for them to die. Who would have guessed? Experience is gained by seeing your fallen comrades dead. But as we can see, we have a nice little fog going over here in Savannah, Georgia. So theoretically that is, if I'm boomer about this enough, I'm trying to take Savannah, Georgia. This is what this little place is. Georgia, apparently. I don't know why their big owl, big bird here is being boomered. And they were obviously trying to make some type of longboat house, upside down house. I don't know the Indian psychology that well. What I do know is British psychology. And as a Brit, as a Brit by blood and an American by idealism, I know that we must conquer. Okay, I'm really enjoying that on my mic a lot. I hope it's not blowing you guys' ears out either. So, yes, my power increases. Okay, so we're going to actually, we're going to form up, and then we're going to form up again, and then we're going to form up again. So, the nice thing about, if you don't know Total War that well, is that a trick is that when your units are walking, they actually do not lose their encouragement or their freshness. So basically that determines how good they are, basically on the battlefield. If they're really tired, which is right here, you see eager, and then fresh, encouraged, and friendly units nearby, and then walking. So, excuse me. So, when they're eager, it means their morale is good. When they're fresh, it means they're not weary. But the opposite of that is when they are insane, exhausted, and when they are breaking, when they are just broken. And what that means is that the morale is broken and their flag turns white, and that would also mean that they will flee, and you will have no control over them anymore because they decided to go full boomer. Wow, I really used that term way too loosely, perhaps, but that's okay. So we're going to advance. Some talk of Alexander and some of Hercules. So we're going to move them up to there. So this is their musket range. In rifle range, I'd already be able to kill them, but we're going to actually they're doing nothing. So I'm going to see if I can... They're just melee infantry. So I'm going to see if I can just really... I'm going to actually be boomer about this. I'm going to be very clever, hopefully. I'm going to wait for my cavalry to get up to here. And so once the cavalry is up to there, then what I will proceed to do is I will do a left flank charge on them. I'll just speed it up the battle a little bit so I can conquer them way quicker. It's just a way easier way of seeing time pass. But I'm going to speed up the battle a little bit, and then hopefully what will occur is I will be able to hit them in the formation while they're charging. My cavalry slams them from the side. They rout. Oh, crud. It always annoys me when I am about to drink something, and then they start doing something. Oh. No. You don't... Okay, come on. Come into my musket range. Come on. Okay. Hold. Hold. Come on. Yes. Oh, crud. Yes, waver. Destroy. Die.
All units, fix bayonets.
And now, the charge. Reform. What? Why can I not? Crud. Well, that just took my best infantry out of the battle. Okay, so I want the next level of infantry now, because now these guys are permanently locked. I did not realize that they are now perma-locked in melee. So now they're just going to act as a melee infantry unit, which I actually don't have until the next battle happens. Okay, so I'm going to actually just let these guys destroy these enemy archers. Like boomers. Okay, but what I am going to do is I'm going to send these guys after these guys, because there are actually still half the number here. I'm going to hope and pray that these guys don't follow up. I'm going to send this battalion right here to the center. I'm going to send them at running speed, and I'm going to send these two up here just in case. Oh, crud, those are a lot more Indian warriors. I did not see you. This could be very bad. Okay, so these two are going to actually... Crud. They ambushed me, but I wasn't caught with my pants down, which was nice. But now I only annoyingly have a single regiment. I have my best men locked with... For some reason, they can't take out their stupidity. They cannot take off their, what's it called? Okay, so these guys are going to defend this point. Come on, you just had it. Right there. Boom. Come on. Charge. Okay, over here we're going to have these guys open fire on this one, right here. As they enter our range, we're going to fire. And this is going brutally for my infantry, for my poor infantry. We're going to fire at these guys, we're going to retract these guys over here. We're going to do it at double pace. While my cavalry will stick around and destroy them. Oh crud, they're about to hit my guys. Go to melee mode. Send my cavalry. Crud, this isn't good. Now you guys, you're going to form up right here. You're going to form up right here, and you're going to do it on double pace. You better do it quick. Okay, nice. Now you guys, I know what you guys are thinking, but no, you have to reform really quick. You're going to have to disable melee mode. And you're going to send this guys, and we're going to send you guys right after these archers. Now, theoretically, these guys, if they do a good charge, will actually get them. That wasn't a brilliant charge, but it's a charge. I'll give them that. Well, all the units are en route. We're going to end the battle with a insane victory, which is pretty good. We only lost our best troops, which is annoying, but at least they held the line. That's what they're for. Line infantry, holding the line. They're pretty associated with each other. Nice coffee. Actually, it's not coffee, it's just water. Okay, so they didn't join me, which is sad. And I'm not going to go to war with Spain, because Spain is actually insane. Spain's pretty powerful. But now I actually have some stuff I can start funneling in guys to Texas and all that good stuff. Okay. But I will tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to burn that. Burn this. I'm going to burn that. And now my ship will return to Tahiti Island. Bahamas. Kind of. Not really, per se. What we're going to do is oh, what's this? Excuse me. Just ate dinner. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make that so I can actually start building some actually good infantry. We'll make some roads. We're going to start being boomer about this, because the more boomery I can be, the better. Okay, so I can ooh, yes, this is good. This is insanely good. Okay, so now I can actually, now I have a place down here I can actually make things. Okay, so I'm going to actually start making some ships, because I need to have a good navy if I want a chance of actually holding out against the Spanish. So all this territory here, I can hit Texas really quick, and I can hit middle Louisiana real quick, except for the fact, hang on. No, hang on. Is that the Huron? Who are these guys? Are these the French? Are these the French? No, they're not the French. Oh crud, they may be. What is this? What territory is this? What territory? Oh, Upper Louisiana. Who's that controlled by? Louisiana. Oh. That's actually a place. Who owns America? Who owns America? Nobody owns America, really? Oh, trade partners. Protectorate of France, gosh. So if I go to war with them, that means the Frenchies decide to go boomer on me. Okay, but I still got all this territory. I got most of the Ohio Valley I can take. Okay. That won't be good, and I also have a young America to deal with still, which is annoying as heck. Because if they actually get on their feet, then there's no putting them down easy. I mean, that's why in real life we won. Okay. Oh gosh, I am tired. I just ate turkey. Okay. Are you serious? I'm already in debt? Bruh. Okay, so, what are you doing?
Yes, sir.
What are you doing? What is this?
Characters within your nation will develop personality traits that affect their abilities.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Some traits are present when a
I said
character
thank you,
enters the
sweetheart.
campaign.
I say that, and it means you be quiet. Okay, so let's talk. Michael talks. Michael talk time. As I pour myself some more wine. I'm just joking, YouTube. Don't sue me. It's just water. Okay, so, what to talk about? Oh, yes. How about France, and why Britain became basically the biggest empire in the world? I was going to cover this in my previous video, but I think I missed it. So basically, over the course of history, there have been a couple really, really insane empires. that have all had God's blessing, and one was the British Empire. And so since I'm playing Britain, I'll naturally talk about it. Okay, yes, this is good. Okay. Sweden, why am I... No. Okay, so since I am... Okay, hang on. Bayonet, in short, a rather heavy pike. This is considerably threatening. Okay, hang on. So as I was saying, over time in history, the British, they didn't really excel. In reality, their empire wasn't actually that big until the Napoleonic Wars, which is the next game's base. Because the British, they were always countered by the French. Because the French were like... Oh, great, they have a mob. Okay. Demand their surrender. No, we're going to continue siege, so I can just
stay behind Bristol fashion, Captain. Weigh anchor.
Okay, so they were always countered by the French. We're just going to resolve that.
Undefeated.
And we're going to... okay. So anyways, they were always countered by the French, because the French always decided, oh, hey, let's make alliances with everybody. And the British were like, let's make alliances with the people who the French hate. And so they were always constantly countered each other. Because they realized that if either of them went weak, the other would just attack. And this was really the feud between the French and the British. And I don't know, honestly, why the British hated the French so much. I mean, they were having this dispute since the 100 Years' War, which took place in medieval times. So, why, and I ask, why did the Brits hate the French? And the French hate the Brits? Well, basically, the common peasant probably didn't. The common peasant probably, until he was worked up by, who knows, by speeches or whatever news of that day, he probably didn't have a problem with the French. He probably was just going to live his life and die, right, in his village, right? In reality, I will say, a lot of the problems that kings make, the peasants have to deal with. So in reality, the French probably did not hate the British as much as in film. Like in Henry V, both sides hate each other. In reality, oh, that's cool. In reality, I don't think the peasants and stuff, the low classers, it wasn't their thing. They were, they were farmers and they loved God. And that was it. That was it for them. That's a pretty good way of looking at it, in my personal opinion. Okay, so, now that brings us to the next subject. Well, how did the British go insane? So, after the Napoleonic Wars, the French had to recoup. So, already after the Revolutionary War, because the French decided to say, yes, we can actually help somebody who, in this case America, who had so much sway over the world, because America was getting helped by the Prussians, or not the Prussians, excuse me. They were getting helped by numerous different countries, most notably France. But France basically went broke, and America at the end of it basically said, okay, see ya, thanks a lot. And the French were like, hey, are you going to pay us back? Like, help us with our revolution. And America's like, good luck, chap. And so we kind of left them, which I don't have a problem with, because that's in the past. I mean, it probably wasn't the nicest thing to do. But, the key thing here is this. Is that the fact that, so France now is in the 1790s because the Revolutionary War ended in 1789. So, give or take. So, now it's 1790s and the people are clamoring for reform, and the French, they simply don't know what to do, right? Or rather, the French monarchs, who are, I think it's Louis XIV or Louis XVI at this point, they're actually Catholic. They're really good. At this point, France is like the one last Catholic nation. But the people have been deceived by Reformation, etc., 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 and the government gets overthrown, and everybody's heads get chopped off, except Robespierre, because he's such a boomer. Actually, no, his head did get chopped off, because he wasn't boomer enough. Anyways, cut to, now it's the year's about 1800, and this dude who's saying, oh, hey, oh, hi, my name is Napoleon Bonaparte, and I want to take over the entire world. But first off, the entire world being Europa. So, Napoleon stomps on basically every other nation in Europe, except for the British. And that's because the British allied with the Spanish, etc., etc., etc. Right? Now, with that in mind, so they allied with the Spanish, right? And then, no, excuse me. Sorry, Napoleon's cousin was actually the king of the Spanish. But the British worked closely with the Spanish underground and also with the Portuguese, and they were able to kick Napoleon out of Spain, while other countries also took his focus. He was working on Russia. Russia basically ended Napoleon, because every country ever who's tried to conquer Russia and or the Slavs in general have just failed, like a bunch of miserables. Because it's very hard to fight a uncivilized nation with civilized weaponry. It's just insanely hard and inefficient to do so. So, with that in mind, with that in our minds, let us remember this as well. Napoleon wanted to conquer the world, and then he got cocky and went after Russia. So, after Russia, it wasn't his defeat in Russia that killed him, though. So, he retreated from Russia, and that dented his plans a lot. But then he met a British general at Waterloo, who grew up in Waterloo. So with that in mind, he was the British general was able to conquer him because he knew the terrain so well. And so ultimately, it just came down to, I would say, pure fate that ended Napoleon's reign. And that's why the French grew so weak. So not only did they go through a revolution that was insanely taxing on their government, but they also had to go through a couple good years for them, but then they also had to deal with the turmoil that came after you try to conquer the world. I mean, look at N at word Z Germany. They were really rolling. I mean, Height, L-E-R, actually ended the Great Depression for Germany earlier than most other nations, because whenever a country goes into mechanization or into industrialization or more jobs are required and the morale of the people is boosted, you always get a demand. And so that demand was filled by said unemployees. And so that got filled, right? But so now what you have is you have these people
waiting for order,
who are highly motivated, right? Because they believe in that agenda. Perhaps, maybe, I don't know exactly.
Your orders, Your Majesty.
So anyways, they believe in it, and then they proceed to do what?
Gathering supplies.
They proceed to go to war, because war just makes the economy go boom. I mean, that's how America got out of her Great Depression. Out of the Great Depression for America, because it hit America. I mean, everywhere in the world, wherever there was a Great Depression, the way to fix it was to create demand for jobs, because jobs create money, which gets the economy back and started. I'm not a genius on this. It's also late here. So, but basically, once the ball started rolling, they just got back on their feet. But the thing is, with France, that didn't happen, because we're in an age before industrialization. It was just coming around. The British got really good at it really quickly. So, at the end of the Napoleonic Wars, Napoleon actually tried to come back to Europe, and he actually had a couple good months, but then the new French government said, okay, enough. And in 1814, he was banished to the island of Elba, and by the end of 1815, all the Napoleonic sympathizers were gone from France, and the Napoleonic Wars were gone as we know it, and Europe was finally out of turmoil for a while. And so the Brits took advantage of this great opportunity, seeing that their greatest enemy, France, in their minds, was routed. And so with that in their minds, and maybe in their hearts at this point, the British said, hey, we have a rare opportunity here. And so by 1820, what the Brits had done was they started constructing railroads. The British were the first people to actually start, and to their shame, they started industrializing at the cost of using children as a labor force. And it's quite sad. I mean, but also, on another degree, the mile per hour came from said industrialization, because the way that they would count how much coal came out of their mines in England was that they would have the children, they'd have the short men, and then they'd have the ponies. And so these ponies would be the ones who are hauling out coal, and they'd get covered in coal dust and all, and yeah, it's bad. But the thing is that there would be 2 ponies per wagon of coal. And so when it would take an hour, they would say, okay, we'll have 2 ponies an hour, right? And then, actually, oh gosh, I messed this up. I'm sorry. It's horsepower. So in reality, the British were not miles per hour. I apologize. But rather, it was a pony's two pony's pony power. It would be pony power, which is it's double horsepower. So they considered a horse to be double a pony, and then a pony twice as much as a horse. It's kind of freaky, and I messed it up badly for some reason. But
waiting for orders. Forward! Yes,
it was not easy thing to do, but that's ultimately where we got horsepower for our engines. Yes, very fun. Okay. So, with that in mind, okay, Michael, you've confused your audience. But ultimately, the British did a lot of good. Okay, so give or take, they got better weaponry towards the 1800s as well. But besides better weaponry and just the civilizing process, what they also brought was they brought morals. And you're going to say, well, Michael, they were a conquering nation. Now the problem here is that people will say, oh, they're a conquering nation, they must be bad. Well, here's the thing. So Rome, which was, from a Christian point of view, was a morally bad empire, because they had slavery and all this stuff. But also, you gotta remember that the ancient world, in that case, it ran on slavery. There's a reason why God allowed the Israelis to actually have slavery. It's because the entire world ran on it. But God basically said, hey, treat them as decent people. And, of course, the Israelis, being rebellious, they didn't, and then God punished them. And there's a lot of stuff in there which I'm omitting just for time's sake. But, anyways, so, continuing, so, the British actually were Anglican. That was the official religion of the state, and it's not as close as Orthodox Christianity to Catholicism, but it's basically the third closest. So it goes Catholicism, and then Orthodox, and then Anglican. And so the British actually brought Christian morals to wherever they conquered, which was a good thing. And they actually treated their people relatively better than most other peoples, which was a good thing, because it meant that they wouldn't rebel as much. Except India. India was a little annoyed because the British made some promises, hey, we won't convert you, and then started converting them. So, but still, it's okay, because the British were closer to Christ, theoretically, yeah, you get it. Anyways, so continuing, so they did bring morals. They also brought civilization, medicine, and modern technology, especially places like Africa and South Africa. And also, they actually kept one of the Western civilizations, arguably biggest enemy for a long time, at bay for a while during the 19th century. China. Yes, there's something called the Informal Empire, and what most people do not understand is that the British actually, during the Opium Wars, and that those morals can be argued, because it wasn't good for the British to sell them drugs. At the same time, later, it's kind of that time where it's the acts don't justify the means. No, the means don't justify the result. At the same time, China's like one of the biggest threats to Western civilization now, so yeah, there's that. Because it's communist. But getting back on topic, the point being is that the Brits actually held on to the city of Hong Kong until, I was surprised to find this out, but until the year 1997. in the year 1997, that was officially when the British Empire ended. And I'll get into why that ended maybe in the next episode, but basically, Britain, via the Opium Wars and the economic grasp it had over China, it basically controlled China. It was I would say, it was the only country ever to tame China. And this is pretty insane if you think about it. Because no other country, with the exception of the Mongols, but they were a Hordic Slavic people. They were not a civilized country. No other civilized country has ever, I believe, except China. Except China. So, with the exception of China and the Mongol horde, only the British have ever conquered China. And they were the only ones to be able to do it, because they attacked it on every scale. They attacked it economically, and they attacked it. They also attacked it in reality. They did that too. But the thing was that they were able to do it because they had such a grasp over the economy. And they were also able to do it because they had such a grasp over the people. Opium. So with that in mind, was it really, now going into morals, was it really good that the British had control over China in such that manner? Well, probably not, but is it good that China is also the biggest enemy of Western civilization now? Also no. So it's kind of